All of the things I learned the hard way. I did a ton of mistakes. So hopefully this will prevent you from making those mistakes again and paying the price for them. So let's talk about common SEO auditor mistakes to avoid and to get you prepared for the obstacles, the things that may be happening, and how you can prevent them, at least some of them, from happening. The most common things you can avoid right at the start. All of the things I learned the hard way. I did a ton of mistakes. So hopefully this will prevent you from making those mistakes again and paying the price for them. So I would say the first mistake, something that I even recently did and something that every SEO auditor makes from time to time is underestimating the project. So I am now in a very busy time of my life and I don't have any free extra time. And people come to me asking for an audit, assessment, or proposal of an SEO audit. And this was like I was in the US recently. I was very, very busy traveling. Someone came to me, they wanted like an estimate of the audit. So I sat down, like spent 30 minutes, maybe less, so looking at their site, like overall what's there. I sent a proposal and I didn't take enough time to learn about that. When they got back to me, when we started talking, actually a lot of new things uncovered, and I realized that this is a way more detailed project than I thought, and the price I gave them is definitely too small. And now changing the price kind of doesn't seem okay. In many cases, the client will not be happy with that. They will say, "But you said this price. Now you're changing it. What?" So in most cases, changing the price will be tricky. That's why you have to make sure you estimate the projects, you take enough time to do it at the start, and you always have some buffer for the project. And you should always like state that, okay, this is what this audit encompasses, will encompass. This is the price. This is the number of hours it will take, more or less. And there is a buffer. And if there is something extra, something that goes beyond that, I will be charging you this amount of dollars per hour. And this will usually help you in such situations. So for me, the hourly rate is usually like $250 per hour. But if it is a huge project and the client is going to stay with me for the year to implement the entire audit, I always lower that price, sometimes even to $150 per hour. So this is something that can help you potentially if the project kind of turns out to be way more complicated. The next common mistake, something I talked about in the previous video about success, is missing the context of the site, failing to understand the unique context of the website and the goals of the website, the goals that the website owner, the client has, because your goals may be to fix the mistakes, to optimize the site better for SEO, but the only goal the client has may be, for example, to restore their rankings for their brand term because they do not rank well for their brand term, whatever. So you always need to know the goals of the client, the SEO goals, the current state of things of the website, and this will kind of allow you to get the context, and in this context to understand what's best for the site, what's the best next step for the site to take. The next thing is client implementation understanding, whether the client understands that the implementation is crucial, whether they know how important it is, whether they can implement fast, whether they have this team ready to implement, or whether it is going to be you. So this has to be established at the start of the audit, even before you start working. Who is going to do that? How fast it is going to happen? Very often, what is established at the start turns out to be different, like later on. Like pretty much every website audit project I have turns out and evolves differently to what I planned at the start. This is normal and you have to adjust because new things may pop up, new ideas, new problems. But this implementation pace strategy, it should be as clear as possible at the start. And the next mistake to avoid is the failure to set the right expectations with the clients. So you should tell the client at the start, I don't have a magic wand. And unless there is a technical issue that is preventing you from ranking or being indexed or being shown, you won't see immediate results from the audit. It is possible, it happens, but you shouldn't prepare the client that this is the outcome, because if it doesn't happen, and in most cases it doesn't, they won't be happy. So the expectation should be that the client gets a very thorough review, gets the strategy ready, will know what's wrong with their site and what they should be doing. And this should be the expectation. And if quick results happen, this will be like the added benefit, something that will make them even happier because they weren't necessarily expecting that. Another common mistake, again, something I already touched upon with this like success metrics, is poor reporting. You have to be very clear, very detailed with your recommendations. I'll be teaching you that, but it has to be super detailed, super easy to understand, and it has to be tailored to the person who will be reading the audit and the person who will be implementing. So it will be different type of recommendation and the detail if you know that you are going to implement the changes. It will be different if it is going to be a developer. It will be different if this is going to be a team of SEOs who understand SEO. So, because this is also something that happens to me often. The client has an SEO agency doing SEO for them, and they hire me as the second pair of eyes, someone who will be overseeing that agency. So, if I provide recommendations for this SEO agency, they they know in most cases what I mean by that. So in that respect, I don't have to be that detailed. So reporting has to be clear and tailored to the person reading the report and implementing. Another common mistake is this short-term focus. So very often those audits of SEO agencies, the audits that my clients send me, they got have a very short-term focus, and they just say, okay, so your sitemap has problems, and the site, for example, is small, and actually for this small site that doesn't have any indexability issues, it doesn't really matter whether they have problems with the sitemap or don't. So this short-term focus on just, okay, so these are the problems, you have to fix them. You have to put those issues in context, their meaning, their impact, their difficulty of implementing them, and you have to like have the entire next year in mind, and like how those things could be implemented, how they could evolve, and how they should be prioritized. So the next mistake is neglecting possible quick wins. They are not very common, but they are possible. So overlooking those easy to implement changes that can provide immediate SEO improvements is something you have to avoid, because, as I said, they are not very common, but they happen, especially if the site hasn't had any SEO done and is ranking somehow, somewhere relatively highly. Sometimes with small fixes, you can improve the ranking, or you can provide quick SEO wins with technical issues. If there is a critical technical issue, you can have quick wins. So you need to know where quick wins are possible, and if they are, you have to take action on them. So these are the most important mistakes to avoid. Hopefully your mindset is in the right place, and you better understand what approach I want you to have to SEO auditing to be successful. So let's get our hands a little bit dirty for starters.